I would like to invite first the co-chairs of this symposium, Dale Dewar and Eric Notabart, please. Yes. And for this final portion of the program, I would like to invite on the stage a few of you. I will name your names, and you can join us, and we'll be crowded on this scene, I'm telling you. So we need to squeeze in a nice line. And these people are from all 5 continents. Helen Caldecott from Australia. Mariette Liffrink from South Africa. David Bayang from Cameroon. Mamadou from Mali. If Ashish or Shri are still in the room, please come up. Ashish or Shri from India. We have Barb Shah from Australia. We have Odno from Mongolia. We have Katsumi Foritsu from Japan. We have on the stage already Joshua Eiserhoff, Kirstine Skenson from Saskatchewan, Canada, Hilda Snowball from Inuit Nunavik, Sarah Olsvig from Greenland Inuit. I would also like to invite Leona Morgan from Navajo Nation. Leona. Don't feel left out. Actually, I'll invite also Doug from the UK. Doug on depleted uranium. And if Ariel is still in the room, I'm not sure if she's still around us today. Ariel from France. If not, that's okay. Frank, also from the UK. Please, Frank, if you can join us. All right, so now we have a big crowd. And those gentlemen and women will read to us the final declaration. They haven't even seen it yet.
You should tell us ahead of time.
If you don't mind, maybe we can have Joshua from the Cree starting.
Okay. All right. So.
Okay, Joshua.
Okay. And so this is the declaration of the World Uranium Symposium 2015, Quebec City, Canada, April 16, 2015. We, the participants of the World Uranium Symposium 2015, coming from 20 countries on 5 continents, having gathered in Quebec City, Canada, the traditional territory of the Huron-Wendat Nation in April 2015.
Acknowledging that in 1943, Quebec City was the site where the United States, the United Kingdom, and Canada entered into a formal cooperation agreement to develop the first atomic bombs, resulting in a bombing of Hiroshima and Nagasaki in 1945.
Respecting the moratorium imposed by the Cree Nation of Ilu Ischi in northern Quebec on all uranium-related activities on their lands, as well as the broad consensus against uranium development by the Assembly of First Nations of Quebec and Labrador, and Inuit of Nunavik, and over 300 municipalities across the province of Quebec.
Recognizing the growing awareness that nuclear power is not a cost-effective, timely, practical, or safe response to climate change, and applauding the enormous expansion of the use of renewable energy and the significant strides made in recent years to phase out nuclear power.
Acknowledging the need for sustainable development and responsible environmental stewardship.
Recognising the unique health, environmental and social dangers present at all stages of the nuclear chain, from the exploration, mining and milling of uranium to nuclear power generation, the development of nuclear weapons and the storage of radioactive waste.
Recognizing that the risk of contamination resulting from the extraction, use and storage of radioactive substances present a unique and grave threat to all living creatures, their environments and watersheds, transcending all political and geographical boundaries and enduring for eons to come.
Recognize that the risk of contamination, recognizing that there are stories of radioactive waste throughout the world that have not been effectively isolated.
Recognizing that there is compelling scientific evidence that there is no safe dose of exposure to radioactive emissions, and that even small doses can present health risks to miners and local population, animals and plant life.
Recognizing that more must be done to understand, recognize, and acknowledge the full scope and extent of all social, health, and environmental short and long-term impacts of uranium and nuclear-related activities on human life, wildlife, and plant life.
Recognizing both that the technological development of nuclear energy opens the door to the development of nuclear weapons, against which there is no effective protection, and that nuclear power generation facilities present a serious threat in and of themselves.
Insisting that nuclear regulation bodies be independent and work solely in the best interests of people, animals, and plant life.
Recalling the tragedies at Church Rock, New Mexico, 3 Mile Island, Chernobyl, Fukushima Daiichi, and many other places around the world.
Hilda. Oh, here.
Convinced that all non-military end uses of uranium, including medical uses, can be readily satisfied in an alternative manner.
Insisting that nuclear weapons and those use depleted uranium be criminalized and that all signatories be held accountable to the obligations set out in the Non-Proliferation Treaty.
I'm happy to do this one. Appalling by the nuclear destruction of Hiroshima and Nagasaki, alarmed by the maintenance and proliferation of nuclear arsenals, and convinced that the devastating consequences of nuclear detonations can be avoided only when all nuclear weapons and the systems that manufacture them have been eliminated.
Affirming that it is in the interest of the survival of humanity and of life on this planet that nuclear weapons are never used again under any circumstances.
Got us all.
recognizing that those most immediately affected by uranium and nuclear-related activities often lack proper capacity and resources, and that as a result, such activities infringe their fundamental human rights to life and security of persons.
Affirming our commitment to the principles of sustainable and equitable development and respect for the fundamental human rights of all individuals and peoples for all time.
Acknowledging that unique and irreplaceable cultures and landscapes have been and continue to be endangered by uranium and nuclear-related activities.
Acknowledging that the world's indigenous people have how do you say that word?
Disproportionately.
Can you help me, Helen?
Disproportionately.
Thank you. Borne the harmful burdens of the global uranium industry, nuclear activities, including nuclear testing, and the dumping of radioactive waste.
Recalling that the United Nations Declarations on the Rights of Indigenous Peoples affirms the rights of the world's indigenous peoples to self-determination and to territorial, social, and environmental integrity, which includes free, prior, and informed consent achieved through an independent, fair, transparent and impartial process, and recognising that the survival and well-being of Indigenous peoples depends upon full respect for these fundamental and inalienable rights.
Determined to reduce the burden on future generations resulting from the extraction and use of radioactive substances.
Dedicating ourselves to a nuclear-free future, we solemnly declare that
we reaffirm the declaration of the World Uranium Hearing in Salzburg, Austria in 1992 of the Indigenous World Uranium Summit in Window Rock, Navajo Nation, USA in 2006, and at the IPPNW World Conference in Basel, Switzerland in 2010. Uranium and all radioactive substances must remain in their natural location.
We demand a worldwide ban on uranium exploration, mining, milling, and processing the reprocessing of nuclear waste and irresponsible management of radioactive waste.
We call on all states, authorities, and peoples to recognize and respect the rights of indigenous peoples, including the right of self-determination and free, prior, and informed consent achieved through an independent, fair, transparent, and impartial process, and to cease the pursuit of uranium and nuclear-related activities on indigenous peoples' land in violation of these rights.
We urge all states, authorities, and peoples to provide full, fair, and equitable redress to all those harmed by uranium and nuclear-related activities, and to ensure that those responsible are held accountable for their actions and failures.
We demand that all states, authorities, and peoples phase out and eliminate nuclear power generation and use, and decide themselves to the development and use of intelligent energy service based on sustainable, safe, and renewable energy resources.
We call on all states, authorities, and peoples to strengthen their commitments to nuclear non-proliferation and disarmament to eliminate all existing nuclear weaponry, to seize any and all development of nuclear weapon technologies and to support and advance a legal treaty to ban all nuclear weapons.
We call on all states, authorities, and peoples to ensure that all existing radioactive products, material, and structures from all phases of the nuclear weapons and power systems are secured and managed in accordance with the best and safest available technology for the people, animals, and plant life.
Yeah, come on, please. I wanted to, before giving the word to Matthew Clinton, I wanted to give a chance to Angie to come up.